Good evening, Philippines, and good day, world. It's Saturday, November 11, 2023, and you're watching Newsline World. I'm Frederico Velloso.
And I'm Deivid Lira. We are here to bring you the top stories we gather from all over the globe.
President Bongbong Marcos accepts invitation of his Timor-Leste counterpart, Jose Ramos-Horta, to visit his country in effort to further deepen bilateral ties.
Vice President Sara Duterte has messaged the lawmakers Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and Isidro Ungab following their recent demotions as House Deputy Speakers.
On the Israel-Hamas war, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country is seeking demilitarization, deradicalization in Gaza.
Various Latin American countries officially signed a new treaty for the creation of a new police force, Ameripol.
These and more for tonight's edition of Newsline World.
First in the news, Pastor Apollo Sikibaloy comments the principled approach the life exhibited for former President Rodrigo Duterte, especially highlighting the emphasis on honesty in public service. MJ Madahar reports.
In government, the number one criterion for public service is fiscal honesty. You best be honest with money.
During the Spotlight program, Pastor Apollo Sikibaloy of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ expressed his support to former President Rodrigo Duterte's principles in governance and highlighted the importance of fiscal honesty as a top criterion in government. Pastor Apollo's words comes following the recent remarks by Duterte in his Gikan sa Masa para sa Masa program aired on Monday, as well as a recent Facebook post from Duterte's page.
Kung may prinsipyo ka, magkakaintindihan talaga tayo. Ngayon, kung wala kang prinsipyo sa buhay, kaya dito, basta papayag ka lang just because it is wrong, and you say, pakisama, or you do the wrong thing, do not expect me to clap my hands every time that you make a stupid thing there.
According to Pastor Apollo, in public service, principles are closely related to money and how those in power manage the nation's funds. Recent discussions about opening the House of Representatives' Book of Accounts align with former President Duterte's call for transparency, calling it as one of the most rotten institutions in the government.
Pagka prinsipyo yung pinag-uusapan sa public service, prinsipyo sa pera. What is your attitude towards money? Because public trust is public service. Public service is public trust. How can I trust you when there is no money? No money involved? Walang public trust dyan. It's just you. Pero when they say public trust is public service, money involved yan. Pag wala kang prinsipyo sa pera, madali kang bumagsak sa pera, tumiklop sa pera. Wala kang prinsipyo. Hindi tayo magkakasundo. Tama yung sinabi ng ating Pangulo. We are the same in that instant there. Public service, pera yan eh. Lalo na kayo nasa dyan sa House of Representatives, kayo yung naghihimay-himay sa budget, kayo naglalagay dito, lagay doon, lagay dyan, lagay doon. Oh. So, ang hinihingi lang ng tao, kasi mandated kayong gawin yan, yung transparency. Yun lang. Napakasimple. Wala nang iba pang mga patutsadang sagot dito, sagot doon. Nako.
Stick to the issue.
Stick to the issue. Yun lang.
The good pastor also emphasized that when talking about principles in public service, the central topic is money, and being transparent, especially when it involves public funds, is crucial.
Ako, pag perang pinag-uusapan, wala kang prinsipyo dyan, madali tayong magkahiwalay. Pero pagka pinagkatiwala ang pera sa ating kamay, dapat transparent tayo kung paano natin ginagamit yan. Kung saan natin ginagamit. How do we use it? Paano natin ginamit? Saan natin ginamit? Kaninong pangalan, nakapangalan? Oh. Pag organisasyon, dapat walang ipangalan kanino mang pangalan, kundi sa organisasyon iyong kinapapalooban. Walang magnanakaw nang hindi ayon sa mga nilagdaan natin. Walang designated money na pupunta sa bulsa ng iba. Kundi kung saan yan nakapukol, doon dapat ilagay yan.
The good pastor also cited Lee Kuan Yew, the former Prime Minister of Singapore, as an example of a leader who selected honest individuals to be part of his government, contributing to the development of Singapore.
Kaya si Lee Kuan Yew, I admire him. When he was building Singapore into becoming a Singapore like we do now, at the beginning when they were made an orphan because they were not accepted in the Federal Federation of Malaysia. Pumili siya ng leader. Ang kanyang number one criterion of leadership is hindi yung matalino ka. You must be super honest. Super honest with money. Kaya ginader niya yung mga tao super honest. That is how Singapore rose up. The kingdom will not rise up like this if those that are around me are super magnanakaw. Only the super honest will stay with me.
Amen.
It can be noted that until now, the call of former President Duterte to open the book of accounts of the House of Representatives and make it public has not been responded to, and instead, the House issued a resolution calling for unity among its members to resist those who say they are seeking to destroy the institution. For Ganamabul of Philippines, I'm Jem Ondihar, SMNI News.
A senatorial survey conducted revealed some interesting developments in the upcoming elections of 2025. And among these include former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is currently leading the race for a senatorial seat. Sigrid Castañeda tells us more.
A recent survey conducted by Publishers Association of the Philippines Incorporated shows that former President Rodrigo Duterte is leading the race for the Senate. The survey was conducted from October 2 to 8 in selected barangays nationwide and gathered responses from 1,000 respondents aged 18 to 50. The PAPI survey is focused on top 20 senatorial candidates and showed Duterte at the forefront, following Duterte's former senator and boxing icon Manny Pacquiao, and in the third position is Sagi Party List Representative Rodante Di Marcoleta. Senator Amy Marcos secured the fourth rank, followed by Christopher Lawrence Bongo, then former Senator Vicente Tito Soto III. Notably, former radio/TV personality and Access Party List Congressman Erwin Tulfo claimed the seventh position, followed by actor Ramon Bong Revilla, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, and Manuel Lito Lapid in the 10th slot. Meanwhile, in the 11th position is Senator Pia Cayetano, followed by former Manila City Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Damagoso, Interior and Local Government Secretary Benher Abalos Jr., former Vice President Lenny Robredo, and trailing behind is former Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson. Experts believe that with over a year left before the 2025 midterm elections, the rankings may see significant shifts. The PAPI survey accounted for responses from different demographics, with 20% from A and B population, 70% from C, D, and 10% from the E crowd. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Sigrid Castañeda, SMNI News.
A renowned Filipino urban planner has raised concerns about the extent of corruption in the country infrastructure projects and its consequences. MJ Madahar is back for more news.
I'm also director for construction infrastructure at PCCI. Contractors tell me 30 to 40% of infrastructure construction goes to corruption.
That's the revelation of renowned Filipino urban planner June Palafox in an interview in the program 3 p.m. Pilipinas Muna on SMNI. According to this team architect, the feedback he received from friends and contractor acquaintances highlighted a significant problem. For instance, he mentioned the structural vulnerabilities of buildings due to the use of substandard materials, particularly concerning the feared 7.2 magnitude earthquake, or the big one, that could hit Metro Manila at any time.
Let's say a contractor has to bribe 30-40%. Where will they reduce the specifications? So I said with magnitude 7.2 in Metro Manila, buildings, bridges, infrastructure that involve corruption, for God forbidding, they will all collapse.
According to a study by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, in 2004, around 50,000 people could lose their lives during the feared earthquake in Metro Manila during that time. What about in 2023? Palafox attributed the root cause of the problem to the widespread practice of bribery or payoffs within the government.
It's so hard to get building permit. Now, some contractors tell me, developers, excavation permit, lagay. Yeah, building permit, lagay. Occupancy permit, lagay. Fire occupancy permit, you have to buy their specified.
Contractors, according to Palafox, have no choice but to work with a budget allocated for government projects that come their way. Some are even afraid to expose and report corruption in the infrastructure sector.
Contractors are telling me, and they are afraid to be identified. One contractor told me he had to fork out 28% just to get paid. And contractors, I think the profit margin contract 10 to 15%.
10, 15, the highest is 20%.
But
income.
if 40% is corruption, where will they either overprice by 40% or reduce your specifications, steel bars, by 40%?
Palafox mentioned that during the previous administration, there were those who planned to engage in corruption, but backtracked because they feared the strict stance of former President Rodrigo Duterte against government corruption.
Factor of fear na wala na, which we have with Duterte. May factor of fear for the corrupt. There's also a factor of fear for those victims of corruption and red tape. They are afraid of the mayors, building officials, and so on to report.
Palafox is urging all Filipinos to report officials involved in corruption to the media or either make it viral on social media. He believes it's not too late to correct the mistakes in the country and achieve the goal of making the Philippines a first world country in the future. This, according to Palafox, can only happen if Filipinos change their stance on issues of irregularities and corruption. For Ganamabulog Philippines, MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, the Dubai police arrested members of an international syndicate accused of using the power of artificial intelligence to steal a whopping $36 million from their victims. Grateru Omori reports.
43 members of a suspected international syndicate in Dubai landed in jail for using AI-powered deepfake technology to illegally acquire millions. The gang targeted major corporations by hacking the emails of company directors and branch managers. After stealing the email, the suspects convinced staff to carry out large fund transfers to their bank accounts based in Dubai. The Dubai police confirmed that 43 suspects of different nationalities have been arrested. The police also issued warrants of arrest for 20 additional suspects and the ringleader of the international syndicate who currently lives outside the UAE. The successful arrest of the suspects was made possible through close collaboration between Dubai Police and its international counterparts in France, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNA News, United Arab Emirates.
The Ministry of Environment in Brazil announced that the level of deforestation in the legal Amazon, home to millions of people and critical to the global ecosystem, has dropped in 1 year. Natalia Prado will tell us more live. Natalia?
Yes, David. Data from monitoring project, the National Institute of Space Research, showed that deforestation in legal Amazon decreased by 22.3% from August 2022 to July 2023.
Minister of Environment, Marina Silva, presented a report during a press conference at Palácio do Planalto, the official workplace of the President of Brazil. According to the minister, the initiative to increase the inspection capacity of the legal Amazon to 200%, along with intensified command and control actions, led them to achieve the landmark reduction. The news comes at a time when the local officials face criticisms over significant deforestation in the region fueled by logging, farming, mining, and infrastructure projects on forest land. A study released in 2020 by the Amazon Georeference Socio-Environmental Information Network revealed that the deforestation in the Amazon destroyed an area bigger than Spain from 2000 to 2018. Legal Amazon is home to around 24 million to 28 million people and contains all 9 states in the Amazon basin.
Deivid, the Amazon rainforest is called the lung of the planet Earth. The world's largest rainforest is responsible for absorbing 25% of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Back to you, Deivid.
Thank you. That's Natalia live from SMNI Studios.
Vice President Sara Duterte has nothing to say about the recent demotions of Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and Davao City Representative Isidro Ungab as House Deputy Speakers, but she has a message to them as a friend. Meanwhile, VP Sara is thankful for the support of Senator Amy Marcos to their family. This story from Precious Alvarez.
No comment. This was the answer of Vice President Sara Duterte when asked about the recent demotions of Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and Davao City Representative Isidro Ungab as House Deputy Speakers. However, Duterte has a message for Arroyo and Ungab as a friend.
Sa pag-remove, well, wala akong comment sa pag-remove, but I have a comment as their friend. Sa politics, we always say that there are no permanent friends and enemies sa politika. And as a politician, it is truly heartwarming if you find another politician who is a true friend. That is why Congressman Sid Ungab and Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo has my full support as a politician and as a friend.
It can be remembered that Arroyo and Ungab were stripped of their posts at the House of Representatives following their refusal to sign the House Resolution 1414, which expresses solidarity and support for the leadership of Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez. On the other hand, Vice President Duterte is thankful to Senator Amy Marcos for choosing to stand with former President Rodrigo Duterte, the Vice President's father, who for some is considered as the new face of the opposition today.
Yes, oo. Pasalamat ko. It is true that we are the political family, our political side of our family is going through a rough patch right now. It is different from para lang masabtan sa mga tao, lahi ang politika, lahi ang trabaho. Okay? So, nagpasalamat ko kay Senator Amy Marcos sa iyang padayon na pagsuporta sa politika sa amo ang pamilya.
Meanwhile, as to the post of former spokesperson Harry Roque, saying that a Duterte-Marcos tandem in 2028 is plausible, the Vice President said it's far too distant to speculate at the moment.
Just like the confidential of next year, the future is far too distant. The future is far too distant for us to speculate right now what will happen in 2028.
The Vice President is in Davao City for the signing ceremony of the records of discussion for the Japan International Cooperation Agency assisted formulation of the Comprehensive and Sustainable Urban Development Master Plan for Metropolitan Davao under a Philippine-Japan Technical Cooperation Project. For God and my beloved Philippines, this is Precious Alvarez, SMNI News.
Saudi Arabia will pour millions of dollars worth of sustainable energy investments in African countries. Melchizedek Cadiz has the details.
The Saudi Fund for Development will sign agreements worth 2 billion riyals or $533 million with African nations, as confirmed by the country's finance ministry. Saudi Arabia's $700 billion wealth fund also pledged to make some game-changing investments in Africa. The oil-rich Gulf Kingdom announced the plan during the Saudi Arab-African Economic Conference held in the Saudi capital of Riyadh this week. During the conference, Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman signed memorandums of understanding concerning joint energy initiatives and sustainability programs with Ethiopia, Senegal, Chad, Nigeria, and Rwanda. Preliminary agreements were also signed with other African countries, including Egypt, Gambia, and Mozambique. Reporting, this has been Melchizedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.
In a meeting at Malacañang, Timor-Leste President Jose Ramos-Horta invited President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to visit their country. Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos expressed gratitude for the Timor-Leste leader for supporting the Philippines' stance on the West Philippine Sea. Let's find out more about this meeting with Mike Dennis Oliveira live. Mike, good evening.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led the arrival honors for Timor-Leste President Jose Ramos-Horta at the Kalayaan grounds of Malacañang on Friday morning, followed by a guestbook signing. The two leaders then held a bilateral meeting with their respective delegations in the state dining room at Malacañang. During the meeting, Timor-Leste President Jose Ramos-Horta extended an invitation to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to visit his country. PBBM, for his part, expressed gratitude for the invitation and expressed interest in further expanding the ties between Timor-Leste and Philippines.
I hope that these exchanges will be, this visit of yours will be the beginning of more exchanges between our two countries. And I thank you for the very gracious invitation that you have just extended to me to visit your country. And we would certainly want to do that.
President Marcos also voiced the Philippines' support for Timor-Leste's journey to independence and its active participation in international relations and events. He also emphasized the need to work together to maintain peace and stability in the region, especially in challenging times. The PBBM also pledged to strengthen and further expand the 21-year diplomatic relations between the Philippines and the Timor-Leste, and hopes that President Ramos-Horta's visit to the Philippines would be a crucial beginning to deepen the relations between the two nations. President Ramos-Horta, in turn, expressed his heartfelt gratitude to President Marcos and the Philippine government for the warm reception extended to him and his delegation.
For me, it's a great honor, a pleasure to be in Manila among many friends. And I wish to express my sincere, deepest gratitude for the warm hospitality extended to me and the delegation.
President Ramos-Horta also thanked the Philippines for being one of the first countries to support their efforts to become a full member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. To recall, Timor-Leste joined the 42nd ASEAN Summit in Indonesia in May as an observer, where President Marcos reiterated the Philippines' continuous support for its path to full membership. Timor-Leste is ranked 171st as the Philippines' trading partner, with a total trade value at $164,000. It is the 158th export market and the 194th import supplier for the Philippines. Following the bilateral meeting, the two leaders held a joint press conference at the President's Hall in Malacañang. During the conference, the Philippines and Timor-Leste announced the collaboration on civilian commercial aviation, a social security agreement for professionals, and educational cooperation between their higher learning institutions. PBBM said they agreed to reconvene policy consultations to be held by Timor-Leste in the future. Both countries also explored the possibility of direct flights between Manila and Dili through an air services agreement. Also, both agreed to establish a bilateral social security agreement to provide a safety net for Filipino and Timor-Leste professionals and enhance educational cooperation and student exchanges.
In addition, as one of the democracies in Southeast Asia, the Philippines also committed to assist Timor-Leste in the skills formation of the Timorese people.
President Ramos-Horta expressed his admiration for the peace, stability, and confidence of investors in the Philippine government, as well as the excellent economic growth in the Philippines.
Very impressed with the situation today of peace, of stability. Investors trust, confidence in the Philippines, great economic growth in a world situation that is not very conducive to economic growth.
So far, there are 11 signed agreements between the Philippines and Timor-Leste in various cooperation areas such as economic and technical, higher education, military, and more. Diplomatic relations between the two countries were formally established on May 20, 2002. Meanwhile, PBBM thanked President Ramos-Horta for expressing support for the Philippines' stance in the West Philippine Sea. PBBM also mentioned that they discussed the challenges facing the Philippines and presented some suggestions, particularly on continuing to adhere to a system based on rules and international law.
That is with gratitude that we also have received the expressions of support from the President for the Philippines in terms of the rules, our adherence to a rules-based international law, to UNCLOS.
In a toast remark during the state banquet at Malacañang, President Marcos Jr. reaffirmed the Philippines' commitment to support Timor-Leste's development through South-South cooperation. The President also mentioned the Buenos Aires Plan of Action for the promotion and implementation of technical cooperation in developing countries among the 138 member states of the United Nations.
Allow me, therefore, to reaffirm the Philippines' unwavering commitment to supporting Timor-Leste's nation building and development, including through capacity building activities within the context of South-South cooperation.
Fred, PBBM summarized the meeting as productive and fruitful and emphasized the importance of the discussions with President Ramos-Horta. The letters state visit to the Philippines spends 4 days from November 8 to November 11 of this year. Back to you, Fred.
Thank you. That's Mike Dennis Oliveira live on SMNI Studios.
Meanwhile, the devastating Gaza conflict has claimed over 12,300 lives on both the Palestinians and Israeli sides, according to data released by health authorities on both sides. The Gaza Strip's health department on Thursday revealed a staggering death toll of 10,812 people since the outbreak of the current round of the conflict starting on October 7. In addition, the West Bank has reported 175 fatalities. Israeli sources reported that over 1,400 people lost their lives in the conflict. The Israeli Defense Forces stated that in the past few days, their army attacked Hamas military zone near the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza Strip and destroyed the infrastructure of the military zone and killed more than 50 Hamas militants. According to the Israeli army, the military zone is the intelligence and operations center of Hamas. The Israeli army said that its military operation in the region are still in progress. The Al-Qassam brigades, the armed wing of Hamas, announced on Thursday that they fire rockets to the southern Israeli city of Ashdod and in Israeli military base. Al-Qassam also continued battle with the Israel Defense Forces in various areas of the Gaza Strip, hitting many targets such as tanks.
Meanwhile, the first group of Filipinos who crossed the Rafah crossing in Egypt from Gaza has arrived in the country. Shikaina Dakina has the details.
On Friday afternoon, the airplane carrying the initial batch of Filipino repatriates landed at NAIA Terminal 3. The group was personally welcomed by Foreign Affairs Secretary Eduardo Manalo, Yusek Eduardo de Vega, and Kabayan Party List Representative Ron Salo at NAIA 3. The first batch includes 34 Filipino nationals and 1 Palestinian who is the spouse of a Filipina. Among those who returned was Isabelita Balala, a 23-year-old household worker in Gaza.
So, excited na akong magkapiling din sa mga pamilya ko at saka thank God na nakalabas kami sa talagang napakahirap sa Gaza. Ay sobrang hanggang ngayon nanginginig pa yung mga tuhod ko.
Lucina Sarah Jose, 57 years old, chose to come home with her child and grandchild.
Kasi hindi po namin alam pag nagpapatama na sila, hindi sila nagbibigay ng warning. So, anytime na nakakarinig na kami ng tunog, akala namin yun ang last day namin.
Yusek de Vega confirmed that 42 Filipinos from Gaza have successfully crossed from Egypt. They will return to the Philippines next week. However, the 14 others who were supposed to be part of the second batch opted to stay in Gaza as their Palestinian spouses could not obtain security clearance. The DFA assured that the repatriates will receive the necessary assistance.
Well, binigyan na natin sila ng ayuda. Doon pa lang sa Cairo, meron na silang ayuda, malaking financial assistance. At nandito mamaya yung DOH, DSWD para magbigay ng usual assistance. Pag uwi nila sa kanilang mga native provinces, tingnan natin ano mabibigay ng kanilang local government, no? DLG, at nandiyan yung Kongreso. Pero hindi po ang usual OFW treatment, pero meron na silang malaking financial assistance.
Upon arrival in Cairo, the repatriates were immediately given $1,000 per Filipino family for God and my beloved country, the Philippines. Shekinah Dikinya, SM9 News.
Latin American countries joined forces to officially create the Ameripol, which stands for the Police Community of the Americas, having an analogous roles as the Interpol. The Palace of Justice in the capital of Brazil, Brasilia, on Thursday held an event for the signing of a treaty that officially creates the Ameripol, the Police Community of the Americas, which has an intent of sharing of information, conduct joint operations and training police forces of the American continents. Just as the Ministry of Brazil, Flávio Dino, signed the Brasilia Treaty together with 12 other countries, and these are Argentina, Colombia, Chile, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Haiti, Honduras, Panama, Paraguay, Dominican Republic, Suriname, and Uruguay. Ameripol as an organization has been active since 2007, but the signing of the Brazilian treaty formalized it with a legal constitution. Ameripol has the participation of 36 police forces of 30 countries of the American continent. The headquarters of Ameripol is located in Bogota, Colombia, and André Rodrigues, Brazil's chief executive of the Federal Police, is also the executive secretary of Ameripol. Rodrigues said that after Interpol and Europol, the Ameripol is the third most important bloc of police cooperation of the world, and that the organization will be acting at the same level as both international police organizations. He also added that each country member of the Ameripol will have an international unit that will communicate with the executive office, aiming to equip the police forces of the organization with judicial basis, technological capability, and operation means to combat transnational crimes and terrorism.
Japan has added a new island to its already impressive list after an undersea volcano erupted in the southern Tokyo. Kyoko Hashimoto has the details.
The rare geological phenomenon was a product of underwater volcanic activity that began on the 21st of October. The volcanic eruption occurred near Iwo Jima, around 1,200 kilometers south of Tokyo, and was observed by the University of Tokyo's Earthquake Research Institute. The new island is part of the Ogasawara Island chain, which includes Iwoto, previously called Iwo Jima. The area which witnessed the birth of an island was the scene of fierce battles between American and Japanese forces during the Second World War. 以上、橋本京子日本から報告いたしました。SM9 News, Japan.
Thailand is set to host thousands of festivals before the end of the year as the government aims to promote the country as a global festival destination. Chatbonggon Pisamagozon has the news.
Thai Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin announced two major events that pave the way to attract more foreign tourists to the country until the end of the year. The two major events include the Thailand Winter Festival, which consists of 3,000 festivals and local events nationwide. Meanwhile, the colorful Bangkok Winter Festival 2023 will include 200 festivals and events across the capital. Both events will take place in November and December this year. The Prime Minister also revealed plans to promote the country as a world festival hub by improving its infrastructure. These initiatives include the construction of a new airport on the Andaman coast, as well as the visa-free policy to attract tourists from targeted countries. So far this year, Thailand has welcomed 22 million visitors and has generated 927 billion baht in tourism revenues. The government, however, aims to accommodate at least 25 million by the end of the year. รายงานจากกรุงเทพมหานคร นายชัดมงคลพิสมัยโกศล SM News ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
Indonesia celebrated a new milestone in its pursuit of renewable energy after the government recently inaugurated the largest floating solar plant in Southeast Asia. Anissa de Guzman has the details.
A ceremony was held in Indonesia to mark the opening of the Cirata Floating Solar Farm, which stands as the largest floating solar farm in Southeast Asia and the third biggest in the world. Indonesian President Joko Widodo led the inauguration ceremony of the $145 million planned on Thursday. Widodo described the inauguration as a historical day for Indonesia as the country seeks more opportunities to transition to green renewable energy. The plant occupies an area of 250 hectares above the Cirata Reservoir and is expected to generate enough electricity to power 50,000 households. It is equipped with more than 340,000 solar panels and can generate 300 million kilowatt hours of energy every year. Widodo hopes that the country will build more renewable energy sources in the future, such as solar, hydropower, geothermal, and wind energy. The landmark project will support Indonesia's efforts to reduce carbon emissions and achieve its target of net zero emissions by 2060. Disha Nanisa de Guzman Rangancha Kuntep Mahanakon, SMN News, Pratetay, Sawadika.
Australia signed a bilateral agreement that will allow all residents from Tuvalu to live in the country if the neighboring Pacific nation becomes unlivable in the future due to the climate change. Gillian Libuit has the news.
Tuvaluans were offered a chance to start a new life in Australia through the creation of a special visa as the tiny Pacific island nation confronts the existential threat of climate change.
Tuvalu is best known as the world's lowest lying nation, with more than 11,000 people who are mostly dependent on fishing for revenue. This geographic feature makes it prone to the negative impact of climate change. Albanese described Tuvalu as a family, adding to the groundbreaking agreement elevated the relationship of both countries. As explained by the Australian leader, Whalepili is a Tuvaluan word for the traditional values of good neighbourliness, care, and mutual respect, something that Australia extends to its Pacific neighbours.
Besides climate change, the Whalepili Union also covers migration pathways and security, which means Australia will commit to helping the Pacific nation in the event of emergencies. Reporting from New South Wales, this has been Gillian Libuit, SMNI News, Australia.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the message of the appointed Son of God. There is only safety when we enthrone compassion, love for one another in humanity.
And for our Christmas countdown, it's 44 days to go before Christmas. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For more news update, you may visit SMNINewsChannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and Country, I'm David Lira.
For God and Country, I'm Frederico Velloso. Thank you for watching Newsline World, and thank you to our beloved Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy, for the great opportunity to be part of this program.
And also may you continue to listen to SMNI as it's delivered nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news, because SMNI is your source of credible news.